Go.
Okay, I'm not thrown off at all. Hello, welcome to First Geek 411's book club. Tonight, we'll be talking Spider-Man's Social Dilemma by Preeti Chhibber. Before we get into that, you can find us at all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as One Geek 411. Come chat with us on our Discord server. Shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Check out our website at onegeek411.com. Watch live on Twitch every Monday night at 6:45 Mountain Time. And find all our videos over on YouTube. Rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our Redbubble store for some cool squid merch. I'm Shanine, and with me, I have Emma.
Definitely not trying to throw you off.
I might be.
Many apologies. Doing good.
And I guess the villain, Chris.
I don't like that title, but hi. And mostly as well, like the start, because I realized I didn't have Twitch in my browser muted, so our opening music started playing over itself. I'm like, oh no! And because it's desktop audio, it doubled up on itself, probably for everyone listening to. So then it started rounds. It's weird. Sorry everyone.
Things got wild.
It's crazy up here.
And Cameron.
It was bananas. Bananas. Hello.
All right. Our second book club in Superhero Summer, Spider-Man's Social Dilemma by Preeti Chhibber. This middle grade novel takes us on a mission with Spider-Man to stop Sandman and the mysterious forces controlling him from unleashing an alien force that pushes people into a destructive rage on New York and the world, as well as some missions with Peter Parker to get good grades in school, get a job at the Daily Bugle, and get a date with MJ. What are y'all's first impressions?
Gen Z, man.
I like how just J. Jonah Jameson is just always the same character.
Yeah.
There's never any
Never
changes.
changes.
To Chris's comment right there, JJJ is universal. There is always that person in every office.
And he is so reliable.
But yeah, first impression, it was fun. I think it's
Yeah.
a cool, like, not like introduction to Spider-Man, but like a cool, like, if you know a little bit, there's a lot of cool Easter eggs and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Very cute, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lighthearted teenage Spider-Man adventure. It lived up to expectations.
There are expectations.
I mean, my expectations were for it to be a middle grade Spider-Man novel.
Oh, yeah.
And it was.
Accurate.
So what was your favorite part?
I liked all the parts where the aunt's like, oh, you're gonna go hang out with MJ? Wink, wink. Very typical embarrassing parent figure. And then they pull it with MJ's mom a couple of times where she's like, oh, you're gonna go hang out with Peter? Wink, wink. It's like the parents are conspiring together. I thought it was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me, I honestly loved all of the Peter MJ scenes. Like they're adorable. I feel like I'd hate them in real life, but like,
They're just that couple.
But yeah, they're the like, especially like now at this point in my life, I'm like, oh, just start dating. Like let's just let's move this along. We all get it. Like
You,
one of you.
Peter, you like MJ. MJ, you
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Peter. Now go on a date.
Yeah, I'd say I like I guess they're not technically a study group, but the group project scenes too brought me back. It's like, oh, you guys have a good group actually.
Well, they didn't get Flash, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those groups that starts off a little rocky, but then by the end is just like, okay, fine, we'll do this.
Yep. I mean, I agree with all of you. They're all very like classic high school, classic Peter Parker moments. I think, I don't know, like you were saying, good old JJJ is always the same, and I love him for it. He was entertaining every time. He was probably my favorite. He's just always good.
Always.
mm-hmm.
All right, least favorite part.
The parts where it was just Sandman felt a little boring to me because it was just like giving away the mystery. Because it kind of sets him up to like, oh, I'm gonna like just got out of jail, gotta improve my life a little bit.
Immediately back to crime.
Yeah. So it felt a little anticlimactic, but I shrug.
Yeah. I'll agree there. Overall I really liked the perspective changing, that this isn't just Peter Parker telling a story. But yeah, I do feel like the Sandman sections of the various people that we got, like I feel like it does, as Emma said, it definitely took away some of like the what's going on when you just have Sandman out here kind of like giving away the plan to us readers.
This is a better Peter Parker novel than a Spider-Man novel.
Yeah,
I'll agree as well.
Based on that that turn, it was like the best parts are the Peter Parker parts. The Spider-Man parts are just filler.
Yeah, pretty much. My gripe with it was more of a technical gripe. I had issues with it being third person present tense. I found some of the sentences were a bit awkward for me and would take me out of it. That might just be a me thing. I don't know. Personally, I like present tense better in first person.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of it was just awkward.
that's fair.
But yeah. So, speaking of this being a Peter Parker or Spider-Man novel, what are your thoughts on this portrayal of Spider-Man / Peter Parker?
It feels like a nice updated, like it still feels like Peter Parker / Spider-Man with all his like quips during fights and things, but like updated for the present day Gen Z generation. Like Chris said earlier, like it still feels like Spider-Man, but like if he were a Gen Z kid.
I liked this Peter Parker also because it wasn't like an existential crisis with him like like establishing a relationship with MJ.
Yeah.
Which was super nice. Like I really liked that relationship development in this because it was just kind of just the natural order of events for them.
Yeah. I think that the Peter in this very much walks the line between being like awkward in the sense that he's awkward because he likes this girl, but not being so awkward that it's like, how do you function as a human being?
Yeah.
For everything else.
Yeah, for like it's like there definitely is a bit of like the confidence change when he becomes Spider-Man, but it's not like to the extent that it feels unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like we've seen with certain other versions of Spider-Man. Looking at you, Toby. And so I liked that. Again, I like him being awkward, but not. He's like talked to a human being before.
It's like that charming
he's not
awkward.
the total
exactly.
computer nerd who only leaves the house to get his 10 minutes of sunshine every day.
Yeah.
Like his awkwardness is more so a consequence of him being Spider-Man in this.
Yeah.
Because he's busy. You know, he's like, I don't really have time for friends anyway, kind of at the beginning. It's like, so I don't really have many. But like he gets along with everyone he kind of interacts with at least. So he's, you know, it doesn't play heavily on the high school clique tropes. I guess, which may not exist as much for Gen Z, hopefully, but
hopefully those are a thing of the past.
Yeah, I agree with you all. Again, it felt updated, but still very much Peter Parker. All right. Any standout minor characters?
I mean, it's got to be MJ, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think she's like. Can you call her minor?
She's like on that line between a minor, like she does have like parts of chapters that are from her perspective and things like that. But shout out to her for asking out Peter.
Yeah.
B, shout out
very
to her
updated, very progressive,
very current.
And then shout out to her for doing the very basic detective work that it would take literally anyone to figure out that Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like I always respect the like it's obviously you. Like
who else would it be?
But I like also that's like, well, I'm Peter Parker. No, like I'm not worth paying attention to as Peter Parker. So that's why no one else can figure it out. But because MJ's paying attention to both, it's very easy for her.
I mean, like even the whole thing of like, oh, conveniently no one can get good pictures of Spider-Man except for this one person. They're always in the right spot.
This
and like
one underage teenager in high school.
The whole thing, and like her putting it together. It's like, wait a second, Spider-Man doesn't even go to that area, but you were there, and then you were gone, and Spider-Man was there. Huh?
I'm just saying, you never see Spider-Man and Peter Parker in the same room.
I am a big fan of his professor or his teacher.
Yeah, me too.
He's the standout for me. If it wasn't for him, this book wouldn't happen.
No.
Again, also probably should have figured out that Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just based on the extremely leading questions that he gets asked that clearly have to do with what's going on.
I don't know. Right. I believe that he's like just so excited about science, and he's like, yes, a kid who likes science like me.
That's what I get from him, and that's why I love him. He's just a total nerd. He's like, you're interested in this?
Science, yes. I'll email you things. What?
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Oh, let me tell. Oh, back then. And then I like how we get this little glimpse like of Peter opening that article.
Yeah.
And why he like became a teacher and everything. And I really like that too. Just humanized teacher, like his teacher for him too. And yeah, he's the standout character for me. Also, his system of making groups. Like we wouldn't have Peter Parker and MJ if it wasn't for that
like
group.
Matchmaker teacher.
Yeah.
I'm also with that. Shout out to not putting the bully with the kid that they're literally bullying right now. Like obviously Flash is just like the worst, but like shout out to like a teacher that's like seen something going on. It's like, you know what? We're gonna not put these two together on the project and hope they work it out. Like that's like one of the worst tropes. So
Yeah.
I will also give
shout out to
Flash
him.
a little bit of benefit here. He doesn't seem like as like yeah, he's still Flash, but like he wasn't he's not like over the top jockey. He's just full of himself, you know, kind of thing. He's like, yeah, he picks on people, but it doesn't, you know, not to the extent that like other Spider-Mans
Yeah.
like we've seen. It's like, oh, you know, the classic bullying. Still terrible, but improved.
Yep.
Yep. All right. What are your thoughts on the villains that we get to see? Sandman, Beetle, Pandemania, and the Faithless.
So I referenced this either in our post-show chat Monday or like after we'd gotten off. Like, Spider-Man is so mean to these villains. Like, all he does throughout this this book is bash these villains of like, you're not even an A tier villain. You're like D tier at best, Beetle. Like
Yeah.
stuff like that. And just like, you're so mean to them. Like they deserve it, but like, you know, like
Not to mention that he literally sets one on fire at the end.
right.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
that seems
that
at least a
escalated.
little bit brutal, even for Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man won't kill you. He'll just throw you off a building and let gravity do
Yeah.
its thing. But,
He won't kill you. He'll just point a flamethrower in your direction.
As long as there's one grain of sand, he's fine. So we can justify it.
yeah. That feels like an assumption on Spider-Man's part.
Yeah.
Definitely
That was the, like,
dehumanized.
I don't know how you would know this for sure.
They definitely dehumanized the villains a little bit in this one.
Yeah.
But also, like, I'll give him a little more benefit for the fight against Sandman. Sandman literally threw him halfway across the city, like the day before. So I mean, he had to do what he had to do.
Also, I'd never heard of Pandemania, and I need them in my life. So I need to go find comics that have this character in them.
I kind of hate that this is a villain, because you shouldn't be able to be a villain in a panda suit. Only heroes
And
should
be able to wear
yet.
panda-related material.
I'll post a comic book picture of Pandemania in our chat just for visual reference.
And yes,
Over on Discord.
there they are.
I wish we got a little bit more about the Faithless. I'll say that as well.
Yeah.
Like we don't really get any sort of motivation for them. Like it seems like they just kind of want to like make the world fight each other for no benefit.
But also, we
And
don't know
so-
if that's actually the intent, that they fight each other.
Right.
Or just a
yeah.
side effect of...
Of something going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That we got no context for.
Right, exactly.
Like that's kind of the like they very much like seem to not have a clear motive. And so
Well, and from my digging though, I think this is the first in a 3-book series.
Hmm.
So that may be a question that is answered later on.
Are they the primary villain through the entire series, maybe? Yeah. that'd be cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was also expecting a little bit more. Like, why are they called that? Where are they from?
Space Rock.
How exactly is this mystery lamp useful to them?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Aside from making people go Hulk mode. Kind of. Semi-Hulk mode.
Really, all we have, what this entire, like, the villain in this is, it's just a failure to communicate.
To be fair, I feel like that's like 90% of comic book fights.
Yeah.
It's just like you
A
clearly
lack
could
in
have just talked. You
communication.
clearly could have just talked this out, but here we are.
You made MJ angry. You're bad.
No one touches MJ. She is a cute little cinnamon roll.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna see a little bit more from Beetle as well, aside from just that one
Yep.
scene.
Uh-huh.
It kind of felt like Chekhov's gunny of like Beetle showed up and then was literally not relevant for the rest of the plot.
Yeah. Like only that she was at the museum at the time. Like that was the only thing.
It was just a clue. She's just a clue.
Yeah.
I guess. I feel like she could have been more.
Yeah, they could have had her show up a couple of more times
Mm-hmm.
to
Or,
cause
like-
more trouble.
Yeah. Or Spider-Man could have like visited her in prison and like
Yeah.
helped put together the like, oh, now she's feeling better because she's in jail and doesn't have access to her phone or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And so like they could have used that as a way to like confirm MJ's theories.
Mm-hmm. Could have definitely used her as a thread point in that.
All right. So since Spider-Man was very mean and hurtful to all of our villains, what was your favorite Spidey quip?
I was looking mine up earlier because I forgot to mark it. I love the simplicity of this one. So it's when he's fighting Sandman at the mansion, like outside the mansion. He just goes, says, "Good to see you, Flint. We're spending so much time together. Do you want to get a coffee or something?" I just love the simplicity of that. Like, hey, we're spending a lot of time together. Like, you want to take this somewhere else? Like, again, I just love the snark there. I love that it's quippy, but it's not just like, oh, here's a low hanging insult that would be like based on your power. And so,
Same fight for me. It probably made me laugh more than you guys. But he says, "What was that, sandbag? I can't hear you over the sound of you being a huge loser." But I laughed at the sandbag because they're sandbags, but then there's also the film sandbags, which can hurt a whole lot. And I just imagined the Sandman as this little like dinky sandbag that you put on a tripod to keep it down. And I was like, that is the worst insult you could tell a film person, that they're a sandbag. And it made me laugh. But yeah. Also Sandork, calling him a Sandork. Anyway.
None of them really stood out to me. I don't have a physical copy to refer to.
I tagged 3 and I'm trying to pick one.
do all
You
three.
could have
Do
two
all
since
three.
I don't have
Do all
one.
3 of them.
Okay. Well, I liked when he's catching Corey at the hardware store. He says, "I thought we were friends. Last time we saw each other, you told me you liked my suit and everything."
I like
Which
that
is-
as well.
It's good. I like kind of in the same vein as yours, Cameron. Like, just like, we're familiar, we're friends.
Mhm.
Like,
And I like that one and that kind of that fight as a whole. Well, fight air quotes, is it also like establishes what he's been up to as Spider-Man for like I think it said 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
That like he does already have like interactions with these street thugs and enough and he like remembers them and stuff like that. I'm like, you go, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I like how he's also lenient on them
Yeah.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
at times.
He
I
catches
did
one
like
stealing a hot dog from a hot dog stand and just gives him a little lecture.
And also in his fight with Beetle, another we're friends kind of quip. He says, "Gotta say, I'm a little hurt that you're not speaking to me. We normally have such a fun routine going back and forth with our banter."
Is this your first fight? We normally don't talk this much.
All right. A big theme throughout the novel is social justice. Hashtag MJ's Action, where she tweets actionable social justice items. And she says, "I just feel like people want to help. They just don't know how. So I started researching easy ways to get involved in the community, and that's what I share." What are your thoughts on the novel's theme of social justice and community involvement?
That was the most Gen Z thing I've ever read.
Yeah.
At the same time.
But it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, for a generation that's so internet focused, it's a good idea.
I mean, and it's definitely one of those things I very much agree with the premise of
Yeah.
like I don't really know how I could get involved in my community right now to help. Like I don't know. And so like I'm sure there is something, and I did like on MJ's, she's not doing anything special. She's probably like in universe, like literally just Googling how can I help
Yeah.
in New York? But like just the idea of having stuff like that go out and I think
Doing the simple thing anyone could do
Yeah.
for everyone. But it's such a, like, generally a strong concept throughout that does kind of, it's an alternate side to Spider-Man in a way. Because you've got Spider-Man doing all this stuff that you can only really do with superpowers, if you will. And then MJ is kind of doing the other flip side of it, of like, okay, if you're not Spider-Man or whoever,
Mhm.
like, what can you do to help society without putting yourself in harm's way? Volunteer at a soup kitchen or whatever. It kind of mirrors Peter's side of things.
I think helping your community is obviously very important. And it is like a bit of a hot topic right now, I think. I think with it being a middle grade novel, like it was a very obvious theme.
Mhm.
Like they were not subtle about it. Like this is what they were talking about. But I don't know. I think it's good to be starting those conversations with like middle grade aged kids. Like they're young enough to understand, but maybe they are also having a hard time knowing how to help. And I think just having that discussion around MJ's like actionable items makes it seem a little more approachable for everyone. All right. How are you all involved in your communities, or what is an area that you would like to get involved in?
I write a lot of letters. But I refuse
As I said
to
earlier,
campaign.
I'm really not. Like that's one of the things that like honestly, like even though like this is very like we are very much like not the target audience for this. Like that's definitely something that it kind of got me thinking of like I don't know the last time I volunteered for something.
Do you know who the state
Same.
representative for your district is?
Yeah. I know who my senators are.
There's only two of those for the entire state.
But yeah, like I just don't really know the last time I volunteered. I don't really know like any of that kind of stuff, and so that was definitely something that got me thinking. Really like doing like a food bank or something like that.
Yeah. Same here. I've definitely considered like going to Costco and getting a bunch of stuff to make those like basic needs bags that you can give to homeless people. Because obviously I live in LA, but like, you can make a Ziploc bag with like a toothbrush and toothpaste and socks and like a Starbucks gift card or whatever, like things that they wouldn't have easy access to. Um, but like I'm already on a small budget as it is, so like being able to like do that and keep that stocked up isn't the most financially conscious choice that I can make right now. But I've definitely considered like pitching that idea to like my church, being like, hey, this is something that like you can have as an opportunity for students to help like put those kits together and then taking them to your shelter or something. I don't know. But there's definitely things that I've like thought about doing. So,
Yeah, Helena is a very small community, which is nice. So it's very easy to find things to support. Um, like we last month, there's a big Pride event, so I want and just give money to. That way they can, especially because Helena being the capital, it's where the legislature happens, so they always try to like they're raising money for certain compacts and things like that that allow them to combat, the don't say gay bills and stuff that outside influences are always incorporating. So I do that when I can. And all like pretty much all our breweries like once a week usually have some type of cause. So gives me a chance. It's like I'm a passive activist. It's like, oh, 10% of your proceeds tonight are going to this organization. I'm going to go drink.
Yeah. For me, I mean, previously I've been involved in Young Life quite a lot, which has been great working with our local teens. Um, Currently, our church has quite a few opportunities coming up periodically. Um, they often put out lists of items that are needed at one of our local charities. So that's a super simple way to get involved, which I like. So yeah, I think I've also been thinking about this more and wanting to get more involved in my community. I just need to actually go out and do it. All right. And another big theme is social media. After struggling with anger, MJ deletes her social media apps. How do you see social media affecting you, and what boundaries do you place around it for yourself?
I definitely do this on occasion. That MJ does is just like delete my stuff from my phone for a while and just be like, no more for like a week or something. And it's definitely a nice, like, self-forced break from the internet or whatever. Um, because it definitely can be a black hole that sucks me in. Um, and it's nice to just like offload that for a while and move on to reading more books or doing a puzzle or whatever. Um, because it makes me tired or whatever, like, but yeah, that's definitely something that like other times I'll put in like the Apple has like the screen time function where you can like limit how much time you spend on social media or whatever, and like once you spend like an hour on it, it'll lock it for the rest of the day. Sometimes I'll do that, and that's nice.
I don't allow notifications on anything anymore. Which sucks for you guys because I never see anything. Um, but like that means I'm only checking things as a result when I have downtime and I want to. Otherwise my phone's not buzzing all the time like when I'm should be present in something else. And so I found that helps a lot. So I'm like, because I'm just like, oh, what's going on Facebook? I have nothing else going on right now. That's the only time I'm going to be on here. Facebook is a bad example. Nothing happens on Facebook except for bad things.
Absolutely.
Instagram
nothing.
is a better. It's like, oh, what pictures are people posting? What trips are people on?
For me, I'm a very liberal blocker of like, you say something that's like slightly annoying or like, or comes across as like slightly rude, and I don't know you, you're blocked.
Banhammer.
Like we're done. Like I got things to do, and like it's the I saw a tweet about it today of like if you're like coming across as like trying to be snarky and like one of the crew to people that you don't know in person, you're doing it online, like what are you doing? I'm like, yep, I'm just ban them. Like you're blocked, like we're done, got things to do. On Facebook I'm hide a lot of people. You know what, and I mean granted, kind of to Chris's point, I hide most of Facebook. Like just as that's kind of the like I've had a lot of free time, and so I've checked everything else. I guess I'll get on Facebook for a second. Unless I like specifically get a comment on something.
I only use Facebook for Facebook Marketplace pretty much. Like, I don't even know last time I even posted actually something on Facebook.
Yeah, well, that's for me. Typically, I post things to Instagram and then they go to Facebook, and so that's the. And then I haven't done this in a while, but I used to be very good about like this is the one battery charge. It's got to get me through the day. And like I used to be pretty good about the like, hey, if my phone's like dead, it's dead. Like I don't really do that much anymore, but for a while I definitely would do that, and it would be like, hey, I'm at like 5% and I'm going to bed, like, or I'm going to be going to bed in like an hour. I need to get off my phone so that I can watch a little bit of YouTube in bed before my phone dies. I don't do that anymore, but that is something that I did for a while.
That's a good idea. I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, it doesn't always work because it kind of assumes that you like that.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of the like I need to always be reachable, which you know I feel like is definitely not true, but it kind of it works in some situations, I guess I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't like. I need to be reachable to an extent. It's like I need to be like I may not answer, but you call twice in a row, something's got to be up, so I'm gonna call you back. Kind of accessible, so yeah, my phone is always on.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad about social media. I know that it makes me super anxious, and I spend so many time on it anyways. I think I've done a lot of the same boundaries that you guys have done. Like I don't have notifications for anything. I lock the apps a lot, but it's been way too easy for me to get around that. Like, oh, I just go in and unlock it. So, still working on it, but I don't know, making social media the villain for even like a short little while before we knew that it was the alien thing causing it was like, yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah. But it's the aliens causing it, not social media as a whole, definitely.
Except for now,
Yeah.
all the middle schoolers or whatever that read this book are gonna be anxious. They're like, "Is this aliens? Why I'm feeling like this? I've been on social media a lot. Do they got me?" Just-
The
Definitely
aliens
the
got me,
aliens.
guys.
All right. Did you notice any other themes, biblical or otherwise?
I mean, there's the stereotypical. I'll take the low hanging fruit. There's the like stereotypical Spider-Man thing of if you have power, you need to be using it, even at the cost to yourself. Which is very much like he's late to class most days. He oversleeps and misses the bus. He's not starting homework till 2 a.m. It's like stuff like that. And so there's definitely a lot of like that side of it. And I would definitely like to see something Spider-Man related that pushes back on that as like self-care or needing some self-care. Because, you know, I really feel like Peter Parker needs some of that in his life. But I do think that there is a lot there that, I mean, it's one of the reasons that Spider-Man has lasted so long and such a prominent part of like our culture. Like the idea that if you can help, you should help, I think is a very powerful theme.
I think honest teachers who are just there for their students when they have dumb questions that aren't really dumb. We love the man.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think another general one is just like love your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Like we saw that MJ's, I mean, yes, caused by aliens, but her anger towards Maya affected her. It affected Maya. It affected their school group. Like it wasn't a small contained thing. It was hurting a lot of people, and that just loving your neighbor can also spread around in that way.
And that reminded me, one of the things that I really liked about the MJ Maya thing is the idea of you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. And like that even ties in with the social media thing. But the idea that the who people present themselves as on social media isn't all of who they are. It's a very limited window. And so I really liked that we got this moment before Pandemania shows up where we get to see MJ and Maya bonding over how like that they actually have shared interests and things like that. I thought that was really cool. And I like that Maya calls MJ out for making those assumptions. And so I thought that was a very good thing for people to read. I'd forgotten about that till you mentioned her.
Yeah, and also like with Maya, I like that she just does the work, not for recognition or anything. And but like I don't get the idea that Maya thinks that what MJ's doing is performative, but she doesn't do it because she'd feel like what she was doing on social media would be performative. Like if she was posting about her going to the protest or whatever, but she shows up and does it, and then her social media image is inconsequential to those actions. It's the left and right hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else that stood out to you or any quotes that you would like to share?
I know it's just an internship, but I feel like it was way too easy for Peter to get that.
All he had to do was show up.
He had some inside connections.
This is true, but like
Nepotism.
He doesn't even show like. Well, I guess he does. Maybe Randy's dad does get some photos. Or something.
Because he was talking about having he did provide experience. He did have like kind of a. Granted, he didn't have a formal resume. But and then obviously, what's his face, comes in
The
and
Shrek.
sees the Spider-Man photos on his phone too.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
helped, and then gives it to him.
They also mentioned that they were having a hard time keeping someone in that position
Mhm.
because of J. Jonah Jameson, so it might have been a little bit of desperation as well.
This is true.
Yeah.
Okay, I retract my previous point.
I mean, I do wish getting a job was that easy, but
This
I
may
feel-
just be a me thing, but it became a little bit of a pet peeve when they kept calling J. Jonah Jameson or whatever by his full name. Like, it was like, yeah, okay, we know who this is. Just pick one of his 3 names and call him that. Or just say JJJ.
What they should have done is actually picked one of the 3 and changed it every time they referenced
Yeah.
him.
Alternate.
Yeah,
Alternate the
rotate
3,
through the
like-
3. It was just completely confuse everyone. It's like,
Yeah,
wait, what? Who's
But I was just like,
Jonah?
there's no need to say all 3.
Jameson?
Like, you're not going to spend the entire book writing Peter Benjamin Parker, Peter Benjamin Parker, Peter Benjamin. No,
Depends,
you don't
Emma.
do that. If you're not going to do that for the rest of the characters, don't do it for this guy.
This book had a word count requirement for middle schoolers. So in that case, yes, you always use J. Jonah Jameson. I have a word count. The Spider-Man count is 1 or 2.
I don't know, it's hyphenated.
Exactly.
hyphenated, it's 1.
What if you
I
have
mean,
a
you could
hyphenated?
do a
If you have a
linguistic
hyphenated
study on
last name,
it.
is it one name or do you just have 2 last names?
Isn't it 1? You put
I'd
it's
say
1
1.
with a dash. Yeah, they are being connected. You have 1 legal last name.
All
I
right.
feel like we're in like a stare off.
I'm just saying. But okay,
Speaking
so
of-
what if you have 2 first names and there's no hyphen? But there's only like legally, you only have 1 spot for a first name. Do you have 2 first names or do you have 1?
There's no hyphen.
Yeah,
it's
I know
2.
that people with 2 first names have this struggle a
Mhm.
lot.
Right. Yeah, legally.
This is why you use the
That or
dash.
the-
Legally.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They have
It's
2
one
words.
name, but it's 2 words.
2 words. So are
You're
they-
saying there's no hyphen though,
right. It's not hyphenated.
Yes,
So is it
right?
2 names? But it's 1 legal field.
Because it's one name.
Well,
but 2
Cameron
words.
referenced legally. You have
You
1
know,
last
my
name.
sister had this debate when she got married.
See, this is the trick is you just don't engage with Chris. He won't get any notifications later for any of this,
Yeah.
and he'll immediately forget. And then we move. We can keep going.
We just move on
He'll,
with
he'll
it.
never check the Discord. It'll be fine.
All right. So speaking of highly important conversations, MJ and Peter Parker have a very important conversation. Who would win in a race, Sonic the Hedgehog or the Roadrunner?
I fully agree with MJ's assessment here. Again, MJ is right. She's clearly the smartest person in this book. Sonic could win in a race, but Roadrunner fights dirty. You're not beating Roadrunner.
I mean, Sonic's used to racing against people that fight dirty, though.
Is Sonic used to not being able to know what's a real tunnel or a wall?
Yeah, but he just run up the wall.
But you got to get through it.
He's
now
run up,
he's now
he
lost
just
time
run up and
because
over.
the Roadrunners cut through the building.
You go in the woods, you come out of the woods. You go in the woods, you come out of the woods.
But also, like, what does Roadrunner always fight dirty, or is that just because
Yes.
Coyote's trying to eat him?
He's got Wile E. Coyote to deal with.
I mean,
It's like
scoreboard.
literally
Have we seen
there's
him not
a
fight
threat
dirty?
to his life. Versus this is a friendly race.
Is it friendly though?
I don't know.
Yeah,
These
does Roadrunner have
multiverse
friends?
questions are always tough.
Does Roadrunner have friends? Like, or is everyone Roadrunner's enemy?
Now I'm just picturing an entire herd of roadrunners.
Very loud.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of on the roadrunner side of things. Mostly because I actually watched Roadrunner stuff as a kid, whereas I didn't play or see any of the Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. So I couldn't say. But
I feel like they
for
just team
me,
up to take out the coyote.
exactly. The Roadrunner's got Coyote on his side, so
On his side.
side. Air quotes. For now.
Alrighty. Final thoughts on Spider-Man's social dilemma.
Just a
I liked it. I think it's a fun
Good read.
introduction. Yeah, it's a good read. I feel like it's good for this age group. And I feel like it's if you're someone whose kids only know Spider-Man from like MCU, it's a very cool way of seeing some alternate takes on some of those characters.
Yeah.
Like Ned's in it. We meet Betty. Oh yeah, she's the other reporter. And so like we get to see a lot of the characters that like MCU Peter goes to school with, and kind of get to see them in a different element. And so I'm a huge fan of that.
Totally agree. And it's fun and lighthearted and silly.
Yeah.
Yep. Also agreed. It's a good Spider-Man middle grade novel. You get what
Mhm.
you're looking for.
Where does it fall on the tier list?
Well, we gotta wait. We gotta finish 20 more books, and then we'll
Yep.
update. The
Oh, is
tier
that
list
how
accordingly.
we're doing that now?
I feel like we should do it in 10, just because 20 took so long. But
Maybe,
it just does.
maybe we should just do it once a year. Like we'll update it once a year. 12.
Alrighty. Our next book club will be Baron and Luthien by J.R.R. Tolkien on September 29th.
I'm ready.
There it is.
First printing.
Very pretty.
Love Alan Lee. He's a great artist.
All right. We are First Geek 411 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Come chat with us on our Discord server. Check out our Redbubble store. Shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Watch our regular shows live on Twitch and find the videos over on our YouTube. Rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And check out our website at onegeek411.com. You can find me at The Hoot and Howl on Twitter and Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES, on Instagram.
You can find me everywhere at I am not prepared with an I.
I'm Himar Whittle.
And I'm not so foreign.
Drink some water.
Wash your hands.
Read a book.
I love you.